Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about the Umbrella Academy Season 1, Episode 3. It's called Extraordinary. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. And it's called that mainly because it can't, well, at least part of the episode focuses on the difference of Vanya compared to the rest of the characters and how she's felt kind of separate. But I think the bittersweet thing at the start of this episode is we see her rush towards this recital. She's or the rehearsals rather for a recital, and she's there. She's a bit late. She's feeling kind of awkward. She's apologizing. The conductor's like, I didn't even notice you weren't here, which is a lie. He was seething. He was seething under that.
He was.
Stare.
He was.
But that was that was how you dig it in. It's like, it doesn't even matter if you're not here. You're irrelevant. You're set dressing. But then she talks to the other violinist, and the other violinist is like, hey, you've been, stuck in that same place for the last, 10 years. There's a point where you're just not cut out for anything higher than what you've reached. You don't have the passion for it. I think what really hit me in this scene, that I thought was a really good way of phrasing it, is she compares her to a 13-year-old school kid who's rehearsing for a test. Because she keeps saying how she's been practicing this piece for, days and days and weeks, and she's been putting on all this time to practice. And it's like, now you're treating it like you're a school kid who's trying to, just pass a bar where, at this point you shouldn't really be feeling like that anymore. You should just be doing it.
Yeah.
But it's this idea that she's even, because up until now we've been like, okay, but she's a violinist, she's good at that, that's fine. Turns out she's okay.
She's good.
Yeah.
She's just not amazing.
Yeah, she's good enough to be a teacher, sure, and then teach people the basics and get them up to a standard. But she's not like she's the star performer.
No. She's, like I said, she's third chair, so she's good. Good enough. You might get a little solo performance here or there. But you're not the focus.
Yeah. As the other person puts, I mean, she's kind of a cow. Don't get me wrong. She's kind of mean about it, but as the other person puts it, it's it's someone who's put in a lot of practice, but doesn't necessarily have any kind of natural gift for it.
Yeah.
So it's this cutting thing where, okay, her entire existence is defined by the fact that she doesn't have any natural gifts, unlike the other siblings. And here it is in the world of music, the world of stringed instruments. And again, she's been told she has no natural gift. She's tried really hard, she's worked really hard, and she's pretty decent, but she's not anything more than that. And this kind of comes back again because the plot moves away from this for the most part. It does kind of inspire her to go and kind of take a chance with the guy from Jack Ryan, which is what he's going to be called until I catch his name.
Leonard, I think.
Was it Leonard?
I believe so.
And she's kind of hesitant, and she ends up meeting them, and he turns out he's also a bit of a sculptor. He does wooden sculptures. And he shows her these ducks and all these things, and then he pulls out this little violinist, and it's her basically. It was inspired by her, and gives it as a present. And they're kind of hitting it off, and as much as two really awkward, quiet people can hit it off.
Yeah.
And he's asking her out when Alison pops up to call her in to the family for a meeting.
Yes. Yeah. Shit's going down.
Yeah, which we'll get to obviously, but when things do go down and we have the big action scene and we have the assassins attacking everyone. She gets kind of hurt and she's hiding behind the door, really scared, and everyone's kind of concerned about her because she can't really take care of herself in this context.
Yeah,
and she basically has to leave. And don't get me wrong, the scene where Diego says, "Oh, she's a liability, she should leave," and Alison wants to be nicer to her about it, but
ultimately kind of agrees.
Yeah, and she leaves. Obviously that hit hard, and I think it's kind of the emotional crux of the episode. I actually think it was even more potent during the fight scenes itself. Like watching her wanting to jump in and help and just not be able to, and kind of having to cower in the corner. It was really now. I've not read the books, but I'm going to make a grand prediction right now that she probably does have some ability that she's just not quite discovered yet.
Yeah.
There's something. I don't know what it is. It may not be something that she's want to fight, admittedly. It may not be that. Yeah. But she's got something.
Well, everyone else does, don't they? It's kind of,
She's got something. She's not actually powerless. Her power is just obscure or has not had the opportunity to present itself.
X-Men rules is what you're saying.
Kind of, yes.
Yeah, the heightened emotion moment that'll kick them in.
Yeah, possibly, or even just the idea that it's not something that would be obvious. Like, it's not
Oh,
something.
okay, so you're going,
Yeah,
oh, maybe she's had them like her
yeah,
entire life and they've just never noticed.
yeah. Because it's not something like. I mean, hell, I ask how like Diego found his powers out. Like, you know, how did he act? Was he just throwing something, a ball or something, and he went, "Wait, I swerved that around the corner. What the hell happened there?"
Yeah,
And
I think part of it is that Hargreaves was expecting them to have powers for some reason.
so he was
So I mean,
testing them.
so he's testing, in the
Yeah.
same way that Allison's is, oh, I heard a rumor, is so specific, right?
Hmm.
That that they must have been tested to no end to kind of hit that point.
Yeah, hers is interesting because I feel like hers, like the actual phrasing, I imagine, is probably not as important as it's presented. It's probably more just the intention of what she's saying. That's just how she's always phrased it.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be surprising me if it was like a training thing when she was younger, before she was even really aware of what she was doing. More like almost conditioned into it, being like, no, this is the only way you can use it as a safeguard, so she doesn't accidentally do it without noticing.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm expecting that. But no, this was kind of the heart of the episode, was kind of her feeling separate from everyone else. Obviously, which has been a theme for the whole thing, but I think this one was the most potent.
It's
with
where it
that.
focused on it here. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say the episode, much like episode 2, did feel a bit slower paced. I'm feeling the runtime a little bit. Like, I feel like once things got going, it was really exciting. There was a lot of good stuff happening, and there's not even specific scenes that I would say, oh, that scene's dragging it down, or that scene's dragging it down.
No, I think it's just a case of there's 6 of them, and we're spending time with each of them as much as we can in every episode at the minute.
Yeah, I would honestly say that these episodes probably should be about 10 minutes shorter. They should probably tighten these up a little bit. Well, that means condensing some of the specific character subplots into specific episodes, so that they're not all, as you say, spread out over every single episode. So we're spending time with every sibling an equal amount, more or less, for a whole episode.
It feels relatively even.
Yeah, because obviously there's some character stuff. The main plot with the rest of the family is that the videotape showed that, at first it was like, wait, did mother kill, the old man?
They're like, did she poison him?
And then it becomes this debate of, well, look at her closely. She's just kind of taking the monocle to clean it or whatever. She's taking.
Yeah, and there's a question of even, can she kill him? Like, is she evolved beyond her core programming to have that ability to do that?
And we get another great little flashback that shows her being kind of understanding and compassionate with the kids as they're gearing up for a mission. Where their father is not, obviously, but she's nice to Diego, who seems to be having speech problems.
Yeah. But it presents this idea that maybe the father was distant because he programmed mom to be like this, and so everything that she's doing that's nice is really him that's being nice.
Yeah, and Diego questions, no, she's evolved. She actually cares about us. And he doesn't want to turn her off, and some of the others do, and they have a bit of a vote. He amusingly says that Vanya doesn't get a vote until she says, "Hey, dickhead, I was going to agree with you," and he's like, "In that's the case, she gets a vote."
Yeah.
But Diego towards the end of the episode goes up to find her to see if she's okay after the big fight, and she starts sewing into her own arm.
Yeah, she didn't even notice the fight was happening.
Yeah. Much like him dying, the old man dying. It's just it's a running theme of like glitches and her programming clearly deteriorating.
Yeah.
So he turns her off. It's a sad scene.
It is quite sad, yeah.
But he turns her off. So they're having this debate and they're doing that. But I'd say the other main plot of the episode is that the assassins, Cha-Cha and Hazel, are and. Do you know what? They're probably the alternate. Like you'd probably think the dude was called Cha-Cha and she was called Hazel.
Yeah, I get that.
Let's be honest here. They both work for her. Neither one really feels like it fits him. But I guess Hazel makes me think of hazelnut, and he does like donuts. And you may have a hazelnut in a donut.
Oh, that bastard!
I know.
I really wanted donuts.
I know. Like all this talk of donuts, the sugar all over the fingers, and even describing
the
how they're
raspberry
made.
jam one.
I'm not a jam donut guy. I'm not a.
Oh, I really am.
No. I don't like a jam filling, but.
I think I laughed the most in this episode at the end when they get back, and she goes, "Did you stop off on your way back for a donut?" He's just like, "Maybe."
I need comfort food after tonight's travesty, I believe was the line of the dialogue.
It was the actual just he went maybe while he had it in his hand that cracked me up.
So it's funny. You told me last review that it's him from Mindhunter, right? And I actually can't see it. I can only hear it in his voice.
Yeah.
I can't visually recognize him, but I know exactly who it is from his voice.
Yeah. He's got the same. That big hulking frame though. That's pretty recognizable.
Yeah, but he's got a beard. He's got longer hair here, whereas before he had the really short hair and whatnot. But so they're tracking down. They go back to the diner. That's where he's talking about the donuts, and they get an image of the tattoo. So what's interesting to me is that even though they've been hunting him down, or this organization that's sent them is hunting them, they didn't seem to know he was part of this Umbrella Academy.
No, and they don't seem to know what the Umbrella Academy is.
Yeah, because they get a message about their pay being docked for not finishing the job yet.
7% every day.
Yeah, in this tube inside the bathroom, which leads me to believe the organisation who sent them also built this motel in the first place.
It seems a reasonable assumption, doesn't it?
Yes, this is a place where they've set up for.
This is I like to think each city, they're like, right, we've got one in every city in case we need to be there. It's like that's the motel you stay at in this city.
Yeah, I'm getting that feeling. So, they find the mansion, obviously, and they come in. And they come in with a big mask, which I didn't get last episode, but they're actually... Because I think last episode I just assumed they were actually just kids, like, silly masks.
No, they're like metal helmets.
Yeah, they're tough, because, Luther punches one at one point, it's just this clank.
Like, yeah, right. I think the first thing that's... Because obviously, they're creeping around the house, and Klaus is... completely oblivious.
Yes, until he gets kidnapped and we see him in the trunk at the end.
Yeah. But the first thing is Diego throws a couple of knives and they just bounce off the helmets.
Yeah, which is why later on he aims for the ass.
Yeah,
which is more effective in this instance.
Do you know what I will say about this action sequence? Mm-hmm. I really appreciate that for the first half it didn't have a song going. Because it was like it proved that they're capable of having a strong action sequence without being set.
What's funny though is when the song kicked in, I smiled and went, here it is. I was waiting for it to kick in. Some popular song.
The first half was just proof that it's like, no, we can do it without it as well if we have to.
Yeah. I did have one weird critique actually of how the fight, just one little element of the fight.
Oh, go on.
So last episode when they were hunting down number 5 in the store, they did this effect where it would freeze every so often during the gunshots, right? And
like an ultra slow-mo thing.
It wasn't even
quite frozen.
I don't know, I feel like it was to me. It felt like it was actually pausing for a couple of frames, like in between the carnage.
Okay, it felt like more of an ultra slow-mo to me.
But it did it sort of in a rhythm last episode where it was like a running thing in the scene where it felt like it was the style of the scene. This whole big thing started with one of those in the first gun blast, and then it went away for the whole rest of it. And it felt weird to me just to do the ones at the start. Like, it felt kind of out of place.
Was there not a couple more?
Nah, it was just the one, I think.
Fair enough. I thought I remembered a few of them, but I mean, I could be just imagining them.
Yeah. At least if they did have any more, like, they were so far removed from that first one where I was sitting going, why has there not been any more of these since?
Yeah, they weren't in a rhythm, definitely.
And I didn't mind them bringing them back. I don't mind them not bringing them back. If that thing was just for that one scene, that's great. It was just that it felt kind of weird stylistically, like just once and then no more.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So yeah, again, fighting's mostly pretty fun. I think this one's interesting because last episode it was just 5. This episode it's everyone but 5, and
yeah,
we get to see that all of them, tackle combat in various ways. Obviously, Allison's not using a rumor thing. In fact, she has a heart-to-heart with Luther about why she's not doing that anymore because she used that on her daughter to
try and make her behave. Basically.
Not realizing that her daughter really wasn't learning anything from using that power instead of traditional parenting.
And the thing that she missed the session on, she missed last episode that we were talking about was a court mandated therapy.
Yeah, which again, I still think her father's funeral is a valid reason to postpone one of those dates.
Yeah, I think if you come and go, hey, I'm at my bloody dad's funeral.
I feel like a funeral, a medical emergency. And this one will have to be pre-arranged, admittedly. But I think also something like a wedding, like if you pre-arrange it, say, here's someone's important, close to me is getting married. I'm sure they would arrange you to schedule around that.
Probably, but a funeral, you're like, look, I'm at a funeral. I'll be there next week.
Yes. but regardless, so I thought that was interesting. I liked this reasoning actually because it felt like, yeah, you would use that as a parent. You
Because that's how
totally would.
she says she justifies. It's like, I just thought, anyone who had this power would do the same. She's right. They would.
They would. Yeah.
They absolutely would.
I'm not even sure I'd feel guilty about it, to be honest. Although there was an implication, though, that everything she's really succeeded at in life has kind of been using that power. Like, she's a movie star because she probably used this on a few casting directors.
Yeah, it's she's clearly good enough that once she was established, she didn't need to do it. But I think to get herself going.
I wouldn't even say that. I mean, maybe she doesn't need to do it, but I would say it's more that she's still good enough that the audience didn't watch the movie she was in and go, "Wait, why was she casting this? She's awful." Like,
right, because people clearly like her, right?
Yeah.
Which at that point gets you more jobs.
Yes, but yeah, I'm sure there's some things where even when she's already quite successful, it's like, oh, it's between you and Gwyneth Paltrow for this next role. Well, I heard the rumor.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Why would
see...
you choose Gwyneth Paltrow over her?
Yeah. So, like, I like that. I like that this power is essentially corrupted her in a weird way, where she's almost like, much like she's doing to her daughter, or she was doing to her daughter, she's almost not really learned to do things properly because she just uses the safety net of, I can just use this power to get what I need.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what the event that snaps her. It's like, right, okay, now I have to use it again.
Yeah, because she's going to. Obviously, she's
Oh,
going
of course, yeah.
Has to happen.
That's just basic storytelling.
Yeah. Because obviously Luther has like some caveats to his power because they finally see him with his top off this episode when he gets hit by the chandelier and he stands up and his shirt rips off and his big hairy glory, and they're all kind of in shock because they've never seen him like this.
Yeah, he's kind of apey.
Yes. And they're all, it's a kind of a big moment, and obviously that's a natural caveat to his power. Obviously Klaus' natural caveat is that he has to take drugs to try and not heal them because there's that scene in the bath where it was almost like Bohemian Rhapsody for a moment when he was seeing these faces in the dark with the long hair.
It was, yeah.
And then hers, I like, is less subtle. Her caveat, because it's like, at first it's like, what's wrong with that power? There's nothing bad about it. Until she's like 30 and she looks back and goes,
comes this crutch, yeah.
Oh wait, I've kind of relied on this and I've kind of ruined my own development because of it.
Yeah.
So, which is why I feel like that's my one argument for Vanya never secretly having a power, right? Because the argument to not do this is that she ultimately has a strength that the rest don't because she has no crutches.
Yeah, she is by default normal and therefore is the most well-adjusted and kind of works out the best of them.
I don't know if I'd call her well-adjusted based on
no in comparison.
Sure, okay.
I mean, she is somewhat functioning in that she's in an orchestra, she's a teacher. That's in comparison, Alison is a way more, obviously, she was in a great place but not anymore. Luther lives on the bloody moon. Diego's a nutcase, and Klaus is
vigilante, yes.
Yeah, and Klaus speaks for himself.
Yes. I mean, I'd say that Diego's the only one where I don't know what the caveat specifically with the power is. Like, yeah, he's got problems because he's kind of like become this vigilante, but that doesn't necessarily stem directly from his ability to bend objects when he throws them.
No, it doesn't.
So I feel like there may be more to that as we go. With him, because it seems like we're going to maybe get some focus on each character a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the next one's called The Man in the Moon, I think. So presumably the next one is going to be a bit more Luther.
I would assume so. Yeah, given that they're all kind of shocked at this, reveal of him at the end, I think it's going to be him sitting down and talking to them about what's happened with him.
Yeah, I can see that. Five still staking out the doctor dude because he wants to wait and see who this eye belongs to, and he's still talking to the dummy. Which, by the way, the little montage at the start when you see them all reading the book for the first time, they're all getting angry, and he's in the future reading like an old tattered copy of it. The mannequin's behind him, so I think he was always crazy with this mannequin.
I think so, yeah.
I don't think there was a real person at one point. I think it was just always the mannequin.
Always the mannequin, which is, fine.
Dear. But now, what's nice about this episode as well is I think it ramps up the tension in the sense that all the family, they don't know it's necessarily related to Five yet, or they might put it together next episode, but they know there's someone hunting something and it brought them to the house, and they ended up in this big fight.
They're in a somewhat danger, right?
Yeah, because last episode none of those characters knew anything about that. It was just 5.
Just 5, yeah. And I like here that they've all got powers, but these two kind of held their own, right? They arguably lost because they had to run away, but I mean, yeah, it was 2 against 5.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a nice scene where, when they first fight back a little bit, the family, and knock them back, and like, who are these 2 assholes? And then it cuts to those 2 on the floor being like, who are these guys? Like, they weren't expecting them to have powers. This was the confirmation they don't know what the Umbrella Academy. Because up until this point, I thought they might do know who they are. Like, because they'll see the tattoo, symbol,
and go, oh, it's them.
Obviously, they've done a bit of research that has led to them to here.
Well, yeah. I imagine, we see there's comics of them in this world. The logo is probably a pretty easy to find logo, and like you say, it's on the front of the building.
Yep.
They're not hard to track down.
So, yeah, no, I thought it was a good episode. I did feel the pacing a little bit. I felt it.
I agree.
It took a little bit to. It's like, again, it's not even like there's any specific scenes that stuck out as being these are the weak scenes. It was a lot of one-on-one conversations for a lot of the episode until.
Yeah, and I like all of the conversations individually.
Yes.
It's just they stacked up to quite a lot.
Yeah, it should be a bit tighter maybe, but still generally enjoying the characters. Though still generally enjoying where the plot's going, and looking forward to episode 3 or 4 rather. This is episode 3. So yeah, that is Umbrella Academy episode 4. So episode 3.
For God's sake!
Somehow this is your fault. I don't know how, but it is. So let us know what you think of the episode in the comments below. You can like and subscribe, all that stuff. That helps us out. As it does, of course, going over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, where you can support us for as little as $1 per month and ensure that the reviews for this and many other things keep coming, and all the podcasts and sort of stuff we do. Otherwise, you can buy some merchandise over at the stores. There's links in the description to both the US and the UK store, and you can get us on the Twitters at @mild_fuzz for channel updates. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?